It is the Friday night. It is the Head of Steam on Hanover Street. An absolute pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be partnered by the good people at Erdinger. Settle down. Looking forward to what should hopefully be a really good bank holiday weekend. I've got Stu Wright, I've got Kev Walsh, and I've got Salmon. And Ian, I was struck today. I made up your on this, by the way.
Is this a question about old people?
Yeah. I was struck today that towns full of... Yesterday I was like, a lot of fellas in suits knocking around town carrying guitar cases, and today I went even more.
It's Beatle Week.
It's Beatle weekend. It's the old Matthew Street weekend.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here as well to represent the North End.
Yes,
there is.
Bring it back. Bring it back in its original guise.
In its pomp.
We had an argument about this last time, didn't we?
There is, but it's everywhere. Loads and loads of people from all over the world have come, knocking around Liverpool. They'll be walking up and down. Well, every street I've been on, I've noticed them. It's a big weekend.
It's a massive weekend. Obviously I spent years doing music retail, and it was always one of those things where every summer you get to this weekend and head office and send you all these Beatles CDs because you're going to sell Beatles CDs, and you're like, they've bought the Beatles CDs.
They're all into it.
They've not just rocked up by accident and thought, you know what, this lot will go to bed, buy some music by them. Get me Ringo Starr bootlegs, I'll sell them for you.
It's really funny. So let's knock around. It should be a good bank holiday weekend, Kev. It did used to be bedlam in the best possible way. Like, I remember from the age of about 18 going out on Matthew Street weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, like Matthew Street itself, but it also spread up the top end of town. It wasn't fashionable, but it was a hell of a party.
It was Scouse as you like, is what it was. The original Bank Holiday Mondays down on Matthew Street, where you'd have the stages all around and you could just go around drinking cans, was unbelievable, absolutely wild. And just because a few kids got a little bit rowdy a few years on their own, instead of just sorting the problem, they just went, we'll just jib it then, won't we? And one of the worst decisions they've ever made. How can you get rid of the Matthew Street Festival? Like, we already knocked down the cabin.
Stop letting Tesco sell cans to lads. And you sorted.
Who brought cans? Cans in the street was what it was all about.
I just sold the bars and brought the Tesco back.
I totally agree. But honestly, it was such a good weekend. And as you say, I remember being from the age of 16, 17, 18, going out, and it was unbelievable. Like, the atmosphere around Matthew Street at that time of the year was phenomenal, and also the weather was always better back then as well. In the way that nostalgia always makes everything better, the weather was always boss, and it's a proper miss. I know we've got Sound City and all that now, but that's a little bit too music for my liking. I like the Matthew Street Festival.
What I would say, in opposition to, or perhaps support to Kev's point, I remember Matthew Street at say 6 p.m. On the Monday, and I would compare it to biblical depictions of Sodom and Gomorrah. I think that would be
as you said, backing
your point up possibly. It was one hell of a thing. Liverpool played this weekend, Stu, but before all of that, there's all the Salah noise, and it's annoying, the Salah noise, in that there's already enough little bits of noise that are knocking around that I think it's unduly negative. This is still a team, I'm going to keep saying it, they're unbeaten in 13. They've started the season all right. They've got a ton of creative talent, including Salah. But until the Saudi Arabian window closes, there's going to be noise around a lot of Premier League footballers. And the biggest name, I think, in the world that remains is Mo Salah. So there's going to be noise around Mo Salah for as long as he plays for Liverpool, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like a coincidence as well to me that we're playing Newcastle, and that's when the noises come out, a Saudi-owned club. And there's been whispers of it earlier on in the summer as well, but for it just to come back with a bang right now, a few days before, just feels a little bit convenient. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I just can't see that at all. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I don't think the club want to go anywhere.
It's semi-retirement. I was watching Neymar play in the AFC.
No.
Was that it's a testimonial?
It's a black
charity match from years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it and I was like, that is ridiculous.
I'm glad you've actually done facts. I love this.
But to be fair, it's just the community notes on Twitter that I spot on that, because I was thinking that is ridiculous, but that would have been, like, if that was the case.
But it is semi-retirement. I mean, people might be offended by me saying that, Kev, but I think if you go in there now, if you're Salah, when you can be going for the biggest prizes in the game, I think it is semi-retirement.
Do you know what? Well, that going for the biggest prizes in the game is relative, isn't it? Because is he going for the biggest prize this year? Not in the European Cup, is he? Are we in the title race? I hope so, but I wouldn't be putting my mortgage on it. So
I think we're in the title race as much as anyone else who isn't called Manchester City.
Sound, but the problem is there is a Manchester City.
There is a Manchester City.
If you're him, you're like, I know everyone's saying it's retirement, but If Liverpool are happy to just coast along and get top 4 for the next 3 years, that's also retirement. So, listen, we can write it off as retirement as much as you want, but if they're willing to offer him the biggest contract anyone in world football has ever been offered, and also to be the superstar, head honcho of that league, and his other option is 5th, 6th, 4th with Liverpool. Is it really that big of a sell?
I didn't have you down as a shithouse.
Listen, you know I'm not. You know the point I'm trying to get at? Our owners are clowns, absolute clowns, and they've let Mo Salah down, they've let Jurgen Klopp down, they've let Virgil van Dijk down. Hopefully they're not going to let Seth down because he's got the longevity to outlast this farce of a period that we're in at the moment. But if I was Mo Salah, I would be raging with the fact that we've gone from the best team in the world to not even in the Champions League in that space of time because of a demonstrable lack of football nous and investment.
But this
is... that can't the manager sort that out?
Can the manager sort out a lack of investment?
Could the manager, could the manager who's not putting the money in, who's not buying players, who's not taking risks anymore? I can't believe they haven't bought a defender, and that's down to them. As far as I'm concerned, that's down to them. Now he's knocking around today. I was annoyed by him today, and I was interested. I had messages, as Amelia messaged me. I can't
believe me and you're going to have a fight, and I'm going to be defending Jurgen Klopp.
He's doing my head in. Because the point of this is, no, Amelia was saying the manager's doing me head in, and I was like, I know what you mean. They're knocking around and going, oh, well, we'll find for defenders, or we'll make the best of it. They could buy any one of a number of defenders. We've seen that the money's there. If they go and say, I want to spend this money, it's because they're determined to be perfect. That's what's driving do my head in.
So they're determined to be perfect because you said it on a show the other day that you disagreed with it, but they've got to make every penny count. And I know you said you disagree with that, but I think you can see it clear in our dealings that we do feel like we've got to make every penny count. Now, whether you disagree with that,
I disagree with that.
I disagree with it, is irrelevant, because if Jurgen Klopp feels like he's got to make every penny count.
But I think he's wrong.
But what are you basing that on?
I'm basing it on the fact that if he's not careful, he's going to end up constantly passing footballers up to wait for the perfect moment and the perfect one, which is what it looks like's happened to a degree during this window.
He's passing up all these footballers because he knows that if he gets that one and then the boss one comes along, well, Jurgen, you've had your money. It's like when you give a kid the money to go to the shop and you go and buy a load of rubbish and then you go, oh, but I really like
disagree with this, but that's the same for every manager. So knocking around at Newcastle, Hal's got all the money in the world theoretically, but he can't spend it all. So if he goes for one, he can't then go for the next one. In a similar sort of way, this season City went all the way to 100 million for Declan Rice and then didn't go to 105, which was fucking mad because they surely wanted Declan Rice. Why didn't they pay 105 million for him? It's mad and it makes no sense, but there's something internal within City there that's a bit different. My point about this is I can say, and I do think that genuinely, I think there was a moment where I'd have liked the ownership to have gambled a bit more on the future and maybe loosened the purse strings a little bit and got another couple in. Only a little bit on a couple of phases. I don't think it takes that much. So I genuinely don't think if you look back it takes all that much. But what I do think though is that simultaneously I think Liverpool have ended up this summer with a massive menu and sat there like fellas sitting around in a restaurant looking at a massive menu going, I just don't know what I want.
Okay, so you know why that is then? Because why have we got a massive menu now? So, because previously we had a very small select group of players, didn't we? And now we've dropped the level. The players we're looking at have dropped the level. You don't get back up to that top level. And you can say all you want about Man City being there. We can either bitch and moan about them, or we can go at them.
That's what I want to do. I want to go at them.
Sound, yeah. You don't go at them by buying.
Andy Robertson.
No difference.
Joel Matip.
Joel Matip had two good seasons.
Gini Wijnaldum.
Okay, Joel Matip's been finished for 3 seasons and he's still at Liverpool.
I agree.
Yeah, so he should have been gone.
I agree.
But the problem is, he's having to cut his cloth. So it's the old...
No, I think that the manager wants Joel Matip.
No, he doesn't. There's no way that Jurgen Klopp looks at Joel Matip and goes, I am made up, I've got you for the season.
That's what I thought at the start of the summer, it's not what I think now.
No chance. Do you know what though? I think to be
fair... Sorry Stu, this is our show today.
No, to be fair,
I
think there's validity in both points, but from an FSG point of view, and I think I've always been very reasonable regarding him, but where I find fault is, if those people who are making those decisions have got a menu of too many or whatever, and they're dithering, well, FSG have appointed them. My issue is not necessarily the purse strings, because we don't know actually how much money FSG are putting on the table. We saw with Casido that they were putting out, a load.
And last summer they were
the people now, it's just been mentioned about Robertson and Matip, Wijnaldum, all these good finds that we had, good players that we had brought in. But we were doing it really well then. we're not doing it really well now. We're not exceptional in the transfer market right now. It doesn't feel like we've been exceptional in the transfer market for a couple of years. Also, and I think we can lay that at Jurgen Klopp's door. I think you're right, Neil. I think we can lay that at FSG's door.
Michael Evans couldn't do it. Julian Ward couldn't do it. George Schmacker can't do it.
We have seen it. Jurgen's role as FSG.
Edwards did do it.
Yeah, he did do it, but now he doesn't want to do it anymore. No, so he left. Right, we don't know the personal reasons.
But he wrote a big fucking letter.
Well, did he though?
He wrote a big letter.
He hasn't had another job since.
But he was at the top level of what he was doing,
and he was known as
being and he was known as being phenomenal. He was working with probably the greatest football manager in the world, and he's decided to step away from that. Now listen, it may be for the personal reasons, but I'm not buying that. And then when you can't follow him up with somebody else, we need the silver bullets. We've got the silver bullets in the manager, but the owners have been lucky with that. If not, let's put it this way: if Jurgen Klopp goes tomorrow, are you confident FSG get the right man in?
Yeah, they've done it once.
Yeah, because it's like De Zerbi or someone.
They've had 2 goals and they've done it right once.
So they've done it once, but then they've had 3 goals in the last 24 months of getting whatever you'd call it, a director of football,
2 goals.
Whatever it is. Well, they've got 3 of them.
They've got 3 of them, but they had
alright, well, he cocked it up twice so far, so I'm not confident that they're going to get that right, let alone bring a replacement for the man who's made us the team that we are today.
But as part of all that, the way we end up just talking ourselves down loads. We've got the best attack in the division. We bought, by the way, the best attack in the division. It just fucking is.
We've got the best. You're
going, oh God, the best attack in the division. He says, we finished 5th last year because the manager has a bad year and some of the players are shit.
The manager getting this, honestly,
I'm not having a go with that. I love the manager.
You're literally having a go
with the manager. The manager will have a go with himself. If he was sat here, the manager would be saying, Akko, you're right, and ignore this prick.
You're having a go with the manager to defend the owners.
No.
It's the fucking owners.
I'm not even, no. I'm neutral on the owners in that I don't like talking about fucking owners of football teams. I think they're all gobshites.
Yeah, but eventually you've got to notice that our problems, no matter who is in the lower echelons, the top echelon's still FSG. So they're the only continuing thing that we've got. Now listen, I'd love us to go on a title run this year, I really would, but Man City, they are unbelievable. But we were unbelievable 18 months ago, and we were unbelievable 2.5 years ago, and we were unbelievable 3.5 years ago. And we did not build on that then, and it's not the manager's fault that he didn't build on it then, because I'm just not having...
No, if we didn't build on it, it's because Klopp didn't want to build on it, because we went from nearly winning 4, and he had the signs in front of him saying that he would be able to get Chamberlain through another season, he'd be able to get Kaiser through another season, so no reason to build.
What reason would he have for not wanting to build on that?
Because he thought he had the squad he wanted. The same reason he didn't build after the Champions League and we won the league next season.
I think that overstates it a little bit, but what I do think is that no one went in the football operation went, hang on, we might need to change a couple of things here.
I was saying 3 years ago, maybe to get me in the football operation.
But no one did. No one did in the football operation when we got a problem here that we need to solve ASAP, and then maybe they began to wake up to it a little bit too late. And that's why this is more complicated, I think, than just one thing. So I could be wrong, you could be wrong, we could both be wrong in equal measure, and we could both be right in equal measure. Why this is dead hard to talk about is because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But what's crystal clear to me, was crystal clear to me in February, is crystal clear to me at the end of May, is crystal clear to me the day they buy McAllister and put the money on Szoboszlai, is they need to buy a fucking defender. And it's mad that they appear to have decided they don't need to buy a fucking defender.
So we're not agreeing then. So they've now got George Schmacker in, so we're saying we don't trust him. So FSG haven't appointed the right people to do the right things.
Who's saying we don't trust Schmacker though?
Well, does anyone here trust Schmacker?
Well, it's only Twitter saying it's only us. We don't know what he's doing. We haven't got a clue what he's actually doing.
I think this is genuinely, I think they've got on their head. They can't just go and get someone tidy. And all I'm asking for, genuinely, in this window, I'm not asking for another Virgil van Dijk. I'm asking to go and get someone tidy.
Which they've just done with Endo.
Who can look after the back and do bits and pieces.
I hope Endo's a good one, but...
No, Endo might be shite, but I'm at least pleased by Endo in that I feel like someone's tried to be a bit pragmatic for once and not buy a belt. I think McAllister's going to be is the sign of the summer. Sign of the summer. Szoboszlai is a great buy. That's what I think, genuinely. 2 absolutely cracking buys, and it's worth remembering that we pulled those out during this window. So I'm not just slagging people off. I think there's a real sense of what it is they're about. But I don't think, Mike, I come back to, they would not even try and sign a Matip, a Wijnaldum or a Robertson anymore. They think, no, we need better. And I don't think they do need better. I just think they need really good lads, fully committed, who can do a really good job.
I reckon if Jurgen thought, if I do buy the Matip, the Robertson or whatever for this low amount of money, and I've still got the chance at the big one, then he'd do it. Why would he not? There's no reason for him not to. So his thinking must be, well, if I use that money there, the pot for this one is
Do you know what Phil
diminished.
Blundell's saying?
Oh, well, whatever it was, it's
No,
fact.
do you know what Phil
but we
Blundell's
know.
saying right now? And we'll go to the break in a minute. Do you know what Phil Blundell's saying right now?
Go on.
Phil Blundell's saying what you're both forgetting is squad size. You're both a pair of pricks. You can only register 25.
Honestly,
that's what Phil Blundell's saying.
I just no. Again, I'm not having it because we.
No, because you're saying, I'm saying he should just buy one. You're saying he would just buy one, but he then wants to go and buy a belter. Phil's saying he can't register everyone. He's already got tons of fucking footballers, and yous are saying do this, do this, do this, and he won't be able to register them all.
If you're talking about buying a belter midfielder, there's plenty of fat to be in that squad. I know. Listen, one thing we will agree on: Tsimikas. Let's just send him to Marine on loan, and we'll register Bellingham. Yeah, we happy with that?
Real Madrid
We'll go to a break.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Welcome back. Kev's given me some of his pints, so we still love each other.
Yeah, we're still mates.
We'll go from there, as I was wolfing mine down as we were going there. A pleasure. As I said, we're going to go to be in the head of steam, drinking the Erdinger on a Friday night. We're going to get a result against Newcastle. What's a result against Newcastle?
I think we should go there with the intent to win. I think we showed last year that we can go there with a game plan that can win there. The problem is that their tails are up. You know, they were flying in the first game at home against Villa. I think the ground can be really at it. It's going to be, the main game on the Sunday. Everyone's had a drink. I think it could be goals. I think there could be a lot of goals on Sunday. You say that, but inevitably you then just putting the mockers on it and it'll be a damn squib 0-0 where both teams bottle it. But I do think there'll be goals, and it'll be really interesting to see which way Liverpool go in terms of the players they pick in the forward line. I think that'll tell us a lot.
On the atmosphere point though, Stu, I'm up for that, and I think our lads are up for that. I actually think there's a bit of a, they were up for it last year, everyone said, and it was a TV kick-off and they had something to prove. I mean, I watched the 18-19 game with you across the road here somewhere, and we both nearly died. But the atmosphere that day was absolutely unbelievable. Liverpool stood up and stood strong, and I think that these players, I think they almost want the atmosphere. Go ahead, then they'll bring. I think the extent to which this is going to keep us honest is hard to put into words. I actually think it's going to suit us down to the ground if they're up for it.
I think I've seen a little bit of talk of there's a bit of needle on their side against us, but from what I could see last year, it's reciprocated. It goes both ways. I think that our lads very, very much fancy putting one over Newcastle. I don't think they've forgotten that home game last season. I think they took a lot of joy from going there and stuffing them on their ground last season as well. So I think that this is a game where I think there'll be a lot of tackles flying in. There won't be any room for shrinking violence. I don't think any of our lads will be backing down at all.
Would you take a point though? Offer it, you get out to Dodge with a point right now.
If you offer me now, no.
Okay.
No.
You looking forward to him? What do you think he's going to do selection-wise? Canate a doubt? Which way do you think he's going to go?
Before we go selection-wise, I think people are forgetting the last year when we went to their place. If they hadn't gone down to 10 men, we'd have beaten them about 7-0 because we were going to massacre them. If the goalie hadn't done what the goalie did, we'd have gone 2-0 anyway, and we would have absolutely walked.
Would have been 3-0. It would have been 3-0 if the goalie had done it. It would have been 3-0 then, yeah.
But we would have destroyed them. It would have been an embarrassment for them. We'd have played them off the pitch. They went down to 10 men. We didn't know what to do, and the game kind of died at that point. And people are forgetting that. People are forgetting how good we were in a fairly shit season. I worry about Canate. I'm hoping that it's mind games. I'm hoping he's a doubt rather than he's injured, because there's always that little balance between those two things. He's not out, but he's a doubt. I'll have him saying he's a doubt and it be a lie, because I think Jurgen lies to us in conferences all the time. I think everything he says in the conferences is a lie to some extent, and I'm happy to be lied to by the manager of Liverpool at all times. I think it should be his job to lie to me. If it's not Canate, I think it's Matip, but I'd prefer it to be Gomez, because I think whichever it is, it's going to be difficult for them covering for Trent, and I don't think we're going to go away from the system. I think Endo starts. I think it's Endo, McAllister playing when McAllister should, and Szoboszlai running the game. Up top, I think there's a shout for Darwin. I'm not convinced by Darwin. I still don't know why he is. I was convinced up until about October last year, and then decided he probably wasn't going to do it.
I was exactly the same, and then me and Stu done a show, and I was like, he's going to be great in, and he was like, I'm not sure he is, and then from that point he was terrible.
Don't blame me.
I'm putting it on your toes, Stu.
I was just way ahead of the curve.
To be fair, you absolutely nailed it.
I'd start Darwin.
I heard someone saying the other day, if we don't start him there, Aston Villa are own. Is there enough space in behind an Unai Emery team? Possibly not. And then it's international break the week after, isn't it? So then you start to think, oh. And I don't think he's an explosive personality, I think it's fair to say. And also I think Klopp is almost Adam to about there. So it won't take much to push him to there. So I think even Klopp might just think, I might just give him this one. But the problem with that is, we've been playing Gakpo in midfield, and I think, does anyone think that's a good idea still? No. I reckon even Jürgen, if you asked him, no matter what lies he was telling, might go, yeah, we're not going to do that one too many more times. So I think if you're Gakpo, you're probably like, well listen, I've had all these games back there, do us a favour, just put me by the goal and watch what I can do, because he's a phenomenal player.
I don't think Gakpo's going to have a problem with number of games this season, centre forward. I think he'll be picked most games, particularly the big games. I've got a funny feeling though, for the reason that you said there is, if you don't play him now, Darwin, when do you? I would,
and do we sell him to Chelsea on Tuesday morning?
And the fact that, you know, he had a good game there last year, so I think he might play him. And I think the thing with Darwin is what the manager's got to do is pick his games. I think we've got to use him, and I think there is a player there. I just don't think he's necessarily a player that fits our system, fits the players, the forward line that we've got.
A Blake Glass option type of thing.
Yeah, he's not someone who brings others into play. He doesn't seem to play. Gakpo is 10 steps ahead up there in the same way that, to some degree, that Bobby was. Jota's got a little bit of that as well. Darwin doesn't have that. Darwin's like, you've let a horse onto the pitch.
Instinct.
You know what I mean?
Darwin makes more sense coming from the left if you've got Gakpo in the centre.
No, I see that, but I think there's got to be games where you give him a run around, you've got to give him a go, and I think this could be a game. And I don't think he'll disgrace himself. I think he picked the right games, so I think he can do really well.
That's a low comment, Dan, isn't it? I don't think he'll disgrace himself.
I think
65 million quid.
You'll end up looking at it going, it's almost like he scored a goal a game. If you pick the right games for him,
pick the right games, that's what you're going to do. But
the reason why I pick him in this is I watched them against City, and they didn't know where to put the line, because Haaland's constantly looking to run in behind, Foden's looking to drop off. They're like, I don't know quite where we're going to do this here. I just say to Darwin, you just constantly look to go in behind. Say to Salah, you just drop into space there, and then say to Szoboszlai, you do what you like, lad, you're brilliant.
Do you know what? On that exact same thing, you could I've got the feeling you could half rope it up then. Do you know what I mean? Because they've gone to City. And City, it was like an adult holding a child back who was swinging. It was just...
I said that on a show that's not out yet. Today, literally used the same metaphor of the hand there. We
Look
agree on that as well, don't we?
Mates.
It was like that, wasn't it? They just went like that, go ahead, yeah.
They just... Yeah, and then bang, 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 and then once the goal went in. To be fair, that's the pattern of Morrison's games follow. It was boring. But I reckon if you're Newcastle and you've sort of talked yourself into, hey, we're good here, and not many other teams in the league are showing anything. You might think we might need a bit of a statement performance, and hopefully Eddie Howe is just that little bit still insecure in his role where he thinks, I might need to show Liverpool something here. And if you do that, and you do have Núñez, you could see a point where maybe we don't put them on, play out from the back, it goes to the centre on the right, and he just puts a ball into an area, and Núñez is in, which I think is not too dissimilar to the goal we scored there last year.
That he scored.
Yeah, so something like that could quite easily happen. So, but the thing with that it makes you go, well, maybe not Núñez. I think if you put that ball to any of our strikers, really, maybe not Gakpo because he's not as fast. But if you put it to Diaz, you'd be confident. If you put it to Jota, as you just said, you'd definitely be confident. And Mo Salah's been doing it since he's been here. But when you think about picking games and squad harmony, that's the one way you could say to him, we're playing you here and this is the plan. Rather than we're playing you here and see how you get on. We're playing you here and we want this from you, and this is our plan to feed it to you. And plus as well, he's our player for the rest of the season. We're not selling him, are we? So we're better to try and get the best out of him now and build his confidence.
What I want though with the Kev is, I want for instance them playing into McAllister higher, because I think that can really help us as well. The idea of pinging balls into McAllister, having him look after him. The other reason why I think you can use Núñez there is because if you've got McAllister higher to do a lot of the looking after the ball in that area, you don't necessarily need someone coming and dropping as well. Yeah. If you've got McAllister, you can look up, he's got Diaz, he's got Szoboszlai, you can look back, he might have a full back somewhere. I think it means you can have the idea that Núñez is just on the shoulder, because that'll even create more space for McAllister, because they're worried that Núñez is going in behind.
Well, that either pushes them back or they say, well, no, we're gambling on our high line. And they're not, who's their centre-half? They're centre-half.
Batman and Shaw.
They're not fast, them, are
No.
they? So they, do you know what I mean?
Trippier and Zambian are the full-backs.
You see, you'd fancy your chances in a foot race, us four here, wouldn't you?
Well,
Well, maybe not me.
we've all had an Erdinger.
But to push them back, as we want to do, I think that really, it depends on our line as well, just as much as theirs. We've got to be, and this is why, you know, I think there's a lot of sense in playing Matip. I think Matip generally has the shirt above Gomez, but in a game like this, I'd be playing Gomez because I mentioned on a show the other week after the Chelsea game, Neil, that my problem with Van Dijk in that game was we were so deep. I think individually he played well. He did all his defensive actions well, but the line was too deep, and it just the space between our defence and our midfield. It was acres for them to run into in the half spaces, and that's what isolated Robertson. I felt, and I think we've got to make sure that we've got that confidence in the recovery pace that Matip doesn't have. Virgil, I'm not sure, is totally convinced of his own level of recovery pace at the moment. He's not been as sure of himself with that, I think, since he's come back from the injury, which is a long time ago now. So I think Gomez, for me, I think that's what I'd be doing for that express purpose of having the confidence. He might not be as confident on the ball as Matip is at the moment, but from being able to get out and squeeze the space, take the game to them, I think I'll be playing Gomez.
I
Do
agree
you
on
want
that.
a really bizarre shout on Virgil? I watched him warm up the other day, and it was the most vigorous I've seen him warm up in years. And he looked completely on top of everything he was doing. He was mobile, he was jumping, and just that made me realise that, one, the captaincy is elevated into another level in terms of his own performance, but he feels secure in his own body. I've not seen him warm up like that. I know how stupid that sounds, but just those little moments where you go, he's got something else this season.
Taking a draw? I'm taking a draw. I'm taking a draw.
Like, if you think logically, clearly you would because they're a good team, but there's just so many ways we can score against them. And obviously, listen, we're not as defensively solid as we once were, but there's just, I'm not thinking there's no way we can win. I'm very much thinking
I think we can win.
There's a world where we go there and win 3-1. I wouldn't necessarily say keep a clean sheet because he's a player, isn't he? They've obviously got Tonali who's flying. They've got some good attacking talents, but there's so many holes that you can pick in them if you look at them, and we've got all of the right tools to make the most of them holes. Apparently so. There you go. Best attack, best owners as well we have, haven't we?
Well,
the manager's not that good, is he?
I wouldn't go that far. For me, all owners are neutral apart from Everton's.
They were fantastic.
Our favourites, in fact, some would say.
Well, yeah, I'd take a draw, but if you ask me, do I think we'll win? I actually do think we'll win, yeah.
Would you take a draw?
Now it's a 3-1 win.
I think we've got to have the confidence we can go there and win.
I've got the confidence we can go there and win, but I'd just take a draw.
Do you know, if someone said to me, they come back to me,
get to decide.
If they come back to me with 10 minutes to go and it's 4-4 and my nerves are shredded and I've been through the apocalypse in that game, at that point I'll be like, yeah, just let's shake hands on the draw.
Very magnanimous of you, that's true.
It's fucking 4-4, sounds awful.
4-4 on 18 minutes.
Bodies everywhere. Well, at that point I might think about it, but I think we've got to go in there, going for the win, believing we can win and believing that we will win.
Okay, there's Stu Wright. That one's the wide, sorry. There's Stu Wright. It's 4-4 and an apocalypse, which, by the way, sets up Bank Holiday Monday brilliantly. See you later on.